Welcome to another series of the BPN in Conversations with. My name is Kiki Paddy. As always, I am your host for this series. And guys, this theme for the series for this year is the theme for this year is Dare to Dream. There goes one of the mistakes. Guys, the theme for this year is Dare to Dream. So over the course of this series, over the next few weeks, you're going to be hearing from some influential Black leaders from across the country who work in different industries. And our intention is to bring these Black professionals to you, to hear their personal and professional story of how they dared to achieve their own professional goals. Now, our vision at BPN, as you know, is that we are here to empower all Black professionals to dare to achieve their own professional goals, to reach their full potential. And so what we're hoping to do with this series is to inspire you to do just that. And to kick off this series, our first guest is Peaches Golden, the Lord Lieutenant of the City and County of Bristol, and also our very own BPN patron. Hi, Peaches.
Good day. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Welcome to the show. So Peaches, I'm going to dive in straight to ask you our first question. So we're going to ask you a series of questions, and just to understand your own personal and professional story for how you got to where you are today. Now, the first question I want to ask you is, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into it.
It's a surreal question when you ask me how I got into it, because one cannot plan to be Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant. There have to be certain things that come into play at the right time. I got here because I ran a little business. I started my business through adversity. I had been made redundant. And the question at that point was, well, what shall I do? And the answer was, well, I'll start a business. The industry that I worked in said, you'll never be able to do it. And you should never name a business after yourself. And. As it happened, the industry did not, or that sector of the industry did not give me any work, but actually their rivals did do. Because they had seen the work that I was capable of doing. And I consequently ended up with a couple of blue chip companies very, very quickly. So my business did a range of work for the private sector, for government, and I ended up working for the Prince of Wales for about 20 years before the business stopped. And I think because of that, Kiki, I had been seen in Bristol. I was known in Bristol. I was regarded probably as a safe pair of hands in Bristol. So when the consultation about the next Lord Lieutenant came about, I was well placed to receive the support from people in government, the churches, the military, the voluntary sector, the business sector, and all of those that were invited for a consultation. So briefly, the Lord Lieutenant is chosen through that consultation, and people are asked two questions. The first question is, what's going on in this place in the next decade? Because Her Majesty expects between 10 and 15 years of voluntary service. The second question is, who is best placed to lead the county through that transition? And of course, names are mentioned and bubble up. 2 or 3 of those names are given to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister then makes a recommendation to Her Majesty. And if Her Majesty is pleased, one is appointed.
Wow, that is a remarkable story. I love that. And it all started from being made redundant and then just going on this incredible journey where you end up on a list and someone high up goes, you know what? We trust this person to handle this job. I think that is a remarkable story. Talk about
it. Is. I pinch myself. I'm not sure that it's real, but it actually is real.
It is. It is. And I think what's remarkable, another thing that is remarkable about that is, did you dream to be the Lord Lieutenant at any point during that process?
No, I did not. One knows the birth date of the Lord Lieutenant, and we retire on our 75th birthday. So as I say, there were so many things in play. No, I had absolutely no idea. And it was funny because I took part in the consultation, and the gentleman asking the questions said, "How about you?" And I thought he said, "How are you?" So I said, "Oh, I'm fine, thank you." So that was a moment of levity.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you got through it and we're here. That's good. Okay, so well, having gone through that journey to where you are now, I imagine that you have dealt with some barriers and challenges along the way. I mean, talk about people telling you weren't going to make it in one industry, in one sector, and ended up making it another. I'm wondering, what strategies did you use or have you used to deal with those challenges or the barriers that got in the way of you achieving the goals that you set for yourself in your professional career at that point?
I think I've always been lucky, Kiki. I had very good parents. If you can choose one thing in life, choose good parents, because they exposed me to a lot of what consists of society. So just remember, I was born into segregated America. We could not use the same toilets or drink from the same water fountains. Although when we could do, we challenged it tremendously when people said, "I'm afraid you can't." So I think when I look back in my past, I see that my father challenged, "No, you are not allowed to sit anywhere you want to on the bus. You've got to sit at the back of the bus." And he knew that was not true. And he took the bus company to court and he won 9 years before Rosa Parks. So we come from a place where we understand society, we know the law, we know how it applies to us, and we are confident and capable and resilient, and all of those things matter. And I think from that comes a wealth of strength. And I think even if you don't have good parents, you can learn that. It is a skill that you can learn.
That is awesome. I made some notes as you were talking. It's confidence, capable, resilient. I like those words because I don't think we hear them enough in this circle. I think we need to hear more of that. So I just wanted to highlight that. What stood out for me in that is to be confident, to be capable, and to remain resilient. And also knowing your rights, the laws, knowing what's for you. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Peaches. So the next thing I want to ask you is, what drives you to keep going? I mean, I imagine that there have been times when you've come across challenges that stop you in your tracks. What drives you to keep going?
I think I know my purpose. And I think my purpose is to help achieve a more just and a more equal society. And I think, Kiki, when I'm in that sphere, I probably am most relaxed and most capable. So I think there are still things to be done. I know that we have been working hard over the past 50 years. I can say that because you're not even 50. You can't even think about that, woman. But this is what we have been working for a long time. I'll tell you a story. As Lord Lieutenant, I have a uniform. I have a military uniform.
Okay.
And one of the things that we have is the sword that a general will carry. That's the top rank. We have a general's sword. So I got my sword. Somebody said to me, "What's your sword named?" And I thought, oh, I've never thought about that before. And I think I named my sword Bethania. And Bethania is the name of my second great grandmother, who was bought as a young child born into slavery by the slave owner, plantation owner, my second great grandfather. And she was a formidable woman. Just think, there she was pregnant twice during the Civil War with children by the master of the plantation. But she was able to negotiate and to navigate that. She was an educated woman. He educated her. So she was an educated woman. And she was able to navigate that very, very difficult period, having three small children by that time, post-Civil War, raise those ones, help to educate them, and set out that thing in our family which says education is very, very important. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to name my sword Bethania. Cut through the nonsense.
Nice.
That's it. Absolutely. So Bethania accompanies me.
I love that so much. I love the story of the sword. That's a very good reminder, like you said, just cut through the nonsense. I love that. I love that. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you this question. And this was actually a question that came to me when I was thinking about my own professional journey. What has been your greatest growth moment in your career? And what events led to it?
Now that's interesting, because I think adversity is always the thing. That's the point that for me has helped me to grow the most. So I would imagine that it was that point when I set up my business, because I had to transfer from working for somebody, being told the things that you need to do, being part of your silo, which says you excel in that area of work, but you might not have the totality of understanding of how that business works. And so certainly when I set up my business, it was not just being able to carry out the research. I did market research for my first contracts. So it was not just being able to do the market research, but it was all of the things around that. It was all of the business planning, all of the regulatory stuff that you might need to be aware of. It was the accounting, it was the legals, it was the planning work forward, knowing how to balance what you had, what you are capable of doing, what you subcontract and have other people that are employed in the business to do. That was the big growth. That was the big growth thing. And I must say, Kiki, I was very, very fortunate, because when I set up the business, it was probably into year 6 before I had any time off at all. I was full order book for 6 years, not even Christmas off. Certainly not.
Wow.
No holidays, no nothing. It was flat on.
Wow. Do you know what? I think a lot of entrepreneurs in this day and age can relate to that, because when you start up a business, it becomes your baby, doesn't it? It becomes this thing that you have to nurture and grow, and all of your focus and attention goes to it. So it forces you to grow. And that's why I asked that question, because I kind of tasted a little bit of that. Okay, so now I want to ask you this question that one of our founding members posed earlier this year, and it was a big hit. So if you were to summarize your life, highlighting 3 key influences, situations, or people that have shaped the person that you are today, what would you say?
Well, I think I would have to go to my mother first for the gracious way. My mother was a perfect Southern American woman. She was graceful, she was gracious, she was a hostess, she worked very, very hard. We played very, very hard, but she gave me a lot of the strength and evenness of character and temper. So I don't get very excited. I don't get very depressed. I'm very nice and even, and I'm sure that is my mother's influence. She knew how to dress. She dressed impeccably. She was always, just top drawer, top quality, anything she did. So mom has to be one. Then I think it has to be my father, as I mentioned earlier, that Rosa Parks 9 years before moment. My father was very much into public service. He was a university professor latterly, but he had a very interesting life and a very interesting career. And I think he taught me a lot about public relations, as well as that legal thing, knowing what's what. And then I think the third particular influence was a lady named Dame Julia Cleverden. Now, I worked for Julia for a very, very long time. We worked together, I guess, 15 years. And she was the one that told me, you know, Peaches, you're a very good salesperson. Well, I never realized it. Nobody told me that before. She had a faith in me that was unshakable. And I appreciate that from her. She, because this was the period of time when we worked for the Prince of Wales. She was the one who, when I was nominated to be High Sheriff, the first time a Black woman in this country had been nominated in over 1,000 years, it was Julia that I went to and I said, Julia, is this something? And again, when the lieutenancy was offered to me, the first time, well, King Henry VIII established the lieutenancy in the 1540s, and there has never been a Black woman there either. It was Julia I went to. I said, Julia, come on, tell me, is this something I should do? She's the one that helped to decode all of those ancient historical things about Britain that makes Britain work, and the royal family and stuff. So yeah, I think those are my three influences: Mom, Dad, and Julia.
That's awesome. Julia sounds more like a mentor to you.
Yes, without being close by. Yes, I think that's quite true. Yes.
Wow. Wow. I love that, because we do talk about mentorship here at the BPN. And that's something we want to really champion and promote, because it does play a big role in the lives of people when someone else hands over their own wisdom over to you to help you grow. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you, what impact have you made in your professional career are you most proud of? Now, this is your chance to brag away about something you've done and you're so proud of, even if we've never heard about it, but this is the thing that you have achieved that you are most proud of. Tell us about it.
I think it has to be the role that I've got right now. I mean, it's just an incredible thing. It's something, as we discussed earlier, you can't dream about, you can't plan for, but it is most rewarding. The breadth of it, from arranging royal visits. I mean, it was a really great pleasure, although it didn't work out in the way that we had anticipated, for the Countess of Wessex to be present at the handing over the Queen's Award for Enterprise to Babasa. I mean, that was absolutely fantastic, as it was to have the Duke of Kent there to unveil the Sikh memorial that sits on Castle Green. So it's being able to, or Castle Park, sorry, it's being able to do those things which make the city feel very proud about itself. But it's also taking part in religious ceremonies that require the Queen to be there. And there are points when I get to do that, to taking on that military bit when all of the eyes in a parade, like at Remembrance Sunday, do their eyes right. And it is, to me, in front of the cenotaph, where that salute is given and taken. So, you know, there are just many things, from visiting businesses or community groups or talking to school children. It's an amazing role, I love
that. Do you know, I had goosebumps as you were talking about the eyes right. I'm like, I can't even imagine what that feels like for you when everyone just does that, and it's to you as the representative of the royal family here. Yeah, I think that's a remarkable achievement for sure. Now, what advice would you offer our BPN members to inspire them to dare to dream, to go after what they really want to achieve in their careers? Now, we know that a lot of the BPN members in our network, I know they suffer from the imposter syndrome of going for more. You know, I already have this much. Should I even ask for more? What advice would you offer to them for people who are just stuck in that place to go ahead and achieve more?
I would say, make sure the foundations are right. And so that goes back to, well, where does confidence come from? Confidence comes from spending hours and being dedicated at doing the research and the background and the practice so that you've got the skills and they are top notch. It is being courageous and knowing that there are times when you will try to do things and explore, and that's great. That's what we must do. We must be courageous. We must go out there and find new and do better and do those things that scare us every day. But we also must recognize that sometimes we'll realize those are things that are not for us. And that's okay, because as I said earlier, you learn most from adversity. So having confidence relies on a lot of personal work to get there. I think we need that commitment, which says every day, regardless of whether it's raining or not, I will do whatever it is I'm supposed to do at that particular time. So it is establishing that pattern, the discipline to do those things. In the workplace, it's very important to understand what your boss does, because that's always more than you think it is, and understand how that relates, as I was speaking to you earlier about the legals, the financials, the sales, the record keeping, the innovation, the design, all of those things that really make a business come together. You've got to learn all of that and understand all of that and be proficient at all of that, you know, when you go to make that next step up. Sometimes because we don't look and have that 360-degree vision, we underestimate what it is that our bosses do, and we think we can be our boss immediately. And therefore you kind of set yourself up to fail. And that makes your imposter syndrome increase, because you think, maybe I'm not here because they said I shouldn't be here. Or when you do get there because of your own merit and own achievements, you think, am I supposed to be here? Okay, so if you get all of that back work sorted out, I think you don't feel like you're an imposter, because guess what? You know all of those 360-degree things. You know the finances behind it. You know the legal stuff behind it. You know the marketing, you know the.
Yep. Do you know what? I felt like that was very personal to me. I feel like that was a very personal advice to me. So I hope everyone is taking notes on this section, because I have just been taking notes. Do the things that scare us, you know, make a personal commitment, come rain or shine, to just learn and take a 360-degree view. Do you know what? Sidebar, recently, this is something I realized that I didn't quite do well in my own career. I didn't take that 360-degree view at where I'm going. And so I've hit a few snags along the way. And so I'm definitely going to take that advice and take that 360-degree view angle when looking at my career. And so I ask everyone to definitely do the same. Okay, so now we're coming towards the end of this session. I want to ask you, what is your favorite quote?
Now, this one stumped me, because I think a lot of wisdom came from people like Maya Angelou, and lots of wisdom came from people like Martin Luther King. And I think, when you go back and you look at all those things, I think the one thing that kind of keeps me going is when Martin Luther King said that thing about the arc of history. You know, it might be long and wide and whatever, ponderous or whatever, but it tends to go in the right direction. And I think that is what gives me the most hope, that even though we look at the challenges that we are faced with now, we know that things are getting better. When I take Bethania out of her sheath, I know that the challenges that she faced are in many ways similar to the challenges that we face, but actually they're not, because things have improved significantly. So it's just being able to hold on to that And also realizing that we might not see the promised land in the Moses sense. Moses was able to lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, but he was told you'll never see the promised land, although what you're doing will get people there. So that arc of, just knowing that things actually are going in the right direction. I might not be there, but I know that I have a role in getting you there.
That is so profound, because that's a proper leadership role, isn't it? That's what leadership is. It's leading people towards the right direction, even if you yourself may not get to experience the glory at the end of where you're leading them to. So that is definitely a message of hope. And as our last question here, we always try to keep it fun at the BPN. So our final fun question here is this. Now, since our theme this year is Dare to Dream, if you could have any superhero superpower, what power would you choose and why?
Honey, she says in her Southern American voice, honey, I would choose to be a Black woman because, whoa, we got it.
I love it. Any day.
What more do you want? You got this wonderful skin, you got hair you can do anything with, you look good in your clothes. What other superpower do we need?
I second that all the way. I second that 100%. That's all the superpower you need. And that's a wrap from us, because you know what? I think being a Black woman is a superpower, like you said, look at our beautiful skin, our hair, our big, beautiful eyes. What else do you need?
That's right. There's nothing more.
Oh, Peaches, it's been so lovely talking with you this morning. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And guys, I hope you have learned something today. I'm sure you have learned something today. I have. I was taking a bucket load of notes. And that's it from us. So our theme this year, Dare to Dream. And what we're doing with this series is challenging you. Yes, I use the word challenge. We're challenging you to dare to dream, to achieve your own professional goals, even your own personal goals. And here at the BPN, we are going to be launching a series of events and workshops that will help you do just that. But we are starting with this one. I hope that you have been inspired by the words of Peaches Golding this morning. And I'm going to see you again soon. So thank you for joining us. And Peaches, thank you again.
And thank you, Kiki. You've been a great interviewer. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. That's a wrap from us, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.